Hello, I'm Jonathan Dunsky, author of the Adam Lapid Mysteries. Today, I'd like to tell you about 3 books that I'm reading or I'm about to read that will help me in my research for future Adam Lapid novels. So if you've read any of the Adam Lapid books, you know that they are mostly set in Israel in the 1940s and 50s. One of them is set during the Second World War in Europe, and they are historical mysteries that readers say are quite vivid and immersive and rich in historical detail. And this is not an accident. This is something that I set out to do when I write the books. And in order to accomplish this, I conduct a good deal of historical research. So today I'm going to tell you about 3 books that I hope will allow me to continue to write more Adam Lapid novels and to provide within them the rich historical detail that readers of the series have come to expect. Now, all 3 of these books are in Hebrew. They were written by Israelis and first published in Hebrew, but all 3 of them have been translated into English, and so you can find them on Amazon or wherever you purchase books if you find them interesting. So let me start by telling you about the first one, and it's this one. This is a biography of David Ben-Gurion, written by Israeli historian Tom Segev, and the name of the book in English is A State at Any Cost. So David Ben-Gurion was the first prime minister of Israel. He's the one who declared Israeli independence in May 1948, and he is the prime minister of Israel at the time in which the Adam Lapid books take place, at least so far. The series now is in 1952, and of course it will continue to progress with time. David Ben-Gurion stopped being prime minister in 1953, and he took a short break until 1955, at which point he resumed the premiership, and he continued to be prime minister until 1963. So Ben-Gurion is the prime minister, and he is the one calling most of the shots in Israeli politics at the time in which the current Adam Lapid books take place, and at the point in which the series is at the moment. Now, I'm not interested in David Ben-Gurion as a character in the books. He does not appear in any of them, and I have no plans involving him, making him a character in any of the books. But I hope that by reading about his life story and specifically about his time as prime minister, I will get a more in-depth sense of the way things were run in Israel at the time, and of the just day-to-day life, the things that people were interested in, things that were in the news. And I hope that this will maybe lead to an idea for a future novel, or at least allow me to present a more accurate and rich and detailed historical setting, the same thing that I set out to do in all of the books. The second book was written by an Israeli historian by the name of Daniel Blattman, and the name of the book in English is The Death Marches, and as you can tell by the title, it deals with the death marches that Nazi Germany forced prisoners in the concentration camps to embark on in 1944 and in 1945, as the Allies were closing in, were approaching concentration camps, death camps. Prisoners there, more than 200,000 of them, were just ordered to march into Germany, closer to Germany, and towards other camps. And of course, many of them died during those marches. They were horrendous. And because Adam Lapid was a prisoner in Auschwitz, and he was evacuated from there, or was told to go on a death march in January 1945, I'm interested in learning more about what it was like to be on a death march. This is something that may relate to a future book. I have a sort of vague idea that involves death marches. So I'm interested in reading this book. I expect it to be harrowing and horrific, but this is just something that I need to read more about in order to see if this vague idea that I have can evolve into a complete novel. So these two books I haven't read yet, I haven't even opened yet, and that is because I'm now reading a third book, a third history book, and this one was also written by Tom Segev, the same historian who wrote the biography of David Ben-Gurion. And this book deals with the time of the British Mandate of Palestine between 1917, when the British invaded into that area and drove the Ottoman Empire out, until 1948, when Britain evacuated its forces and the State of Israel was established. So this is quite interesting, because if I give you just a direct translation of the title in Hebrew, it would be Days of the Anemones. And anemone is a flower that is quite common and beloved in Israel, and it usually has red petals. And because some of the British soldiers had red caps, when they were in Israel, they were called Anemones. So this was just a nickname that the Jewish residents, the Jews, gave to British soldiers. Now, the name of the book, the same book in English, when it was translated and published in English, is One Palestine Complete. So you can tell by the title the difference in the audience that the publisher was aiming at. So Days of the Anemones in Hebrew was directed at the Jews here in Israel that will read it in Hebrew, and the translated title, One Palestine Complete, to a more general, global audience. Now, as you can tell by this bookmark here, I'm about halfway through this history book, and it's quite fascinating. So it begins with the British invasion of the land of Israel in 1917, and then progresses with the basically the establishment of the British rule over this area, the mandate, and the various factions that were vying with each other for control, or at least future control, of the region. I should say that the book even begins a little before the British invasion in 1917, during the First World War, when it relates certain, say, machinations and characters in Zionism, in the Jewish and Arab population within the land of Israel, even during Ottoman time. But it really begins when the British move in. And the book is quite fascinating and is a joy to read. It sometimes reads like a gossip column with a lot of interesting anecdotes and characters and sort of tidbits of information and intrigue. And it's quite interesting to read about all these stuff. So in the book, Tom Segev presents a picture of the three large camps that were sort of in conflict with one another over this territory. There are the Arabs, there are the Jews, the Zionists, and there's the British rulers who are just trying to, well, sometimes it doesn't seem like they actually know what they're trying to do in the land of Israel. They're committed to establishing a Jewish national home there, but at times it seems like one official has one set of policy and another official has a different sort of policy. And it's quite interesting to see how things sort of developed from something that was quite messy and seemingly without order, into the eventual establishment of the State of Israel. Now, currently in the book, I'm still in the 1920s, so there's a lot of time still to go. But so far, it's quite fascinating. Now, you've read the Adam Lapid book, so you know that Adam Lapid, at least the books in Israel, don't begin until 1949. So why am I reading about the British Mandate that ended before that? Again, I hope to maybe come up with an idea for a future novel based on what I read here. I also get a sense of just the people who lived in the land of Israel before the Adam Lapid books begin. And it allows me to deepen my understanding of society, of history, and I hope that this will come, this will be shown in my writing of future books. So I'm always trying to learn more about the background of the period, of the places, because I believe that this will allow me to write better and richer books. So I'll leave a link or links below this video to where you can find these 3 books in English. And I'll have more to say about them when I finish them. There are quite a few entertaining anecdotes and stories in the days of the Anemones, or in One Palestine Complete, the book that I'm reading now. And I'll share them with you when I finish and sort of collect my thoughts about the entire book. So I hope this has given you a glimpse into my process into research and what I do in order to not just write intriguing mysteries and stories that keep you flipping the pages, but books that are also rich in history, immersive, vivid, and accurate, and that allow you, the reader, to feel like some readers have written to me, feel like you're right there with Adam Lapid on the streets of Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or anywhere else, seeing what he's seeing, sensing what he's sensing, and getting a real feel for what Israel was like in those years, or any other place that Adam Lapid may find himself. So thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.